What up, everybody? D-Man back, and today I'm coming to you with probably the latest, and by latest I don't mean like most recent, I mean latest as in I'm late, the latest breakdown for a Walking Dead episode I have ever done. This is because I've been sick, I've been busy, life got me down, So, this is coming out 2 weeks late. So no one's going to watch this video. No one watches my videos anyways, except for my most recent one. Thank you all for watching. Don't get why you picked that one out of any, but, good for you, I guess. So anyways, I'm going to be doing this in-depth breakdown right now. Hope you enjoy. So, this will be on the most recent episode of AMC's The Walking Dead. Or not even the most recent, I'm just used to saying that. Ignore that last comment. This will be on one of the more recent episodes of AMC's The Walking Dead. The episode is twice as far, and it is Season 6, Episode 14. Now, as you can see on screen here, I had one prediction going into this episode, and that was that Abraham would die from an arrow to the face. That is not just a guess out of nowhere. That came from well, anyways, I figured Dwight would shoot him in the face, Dwight being the character who stole Daryl's crossbow, but this wasn't just some random guess. This was a kind of a conclusion I came to based off of an iconic comic book moment when Dwight gets Abraham in the head with an arrow, and that is Abraham's death from the comic. So when I was going into this episode, I was expecting to see exactly that play out, so I was keeping a close eye on Abraham. The episode opens with kind of a montage scene catching up with all the Alexandrians. We see Morgan has built and finished the cell that we all know will come into play in the comic books. Rick comes in and sees the cell and just asks him why. Morgan says, because next time we can have some options. Kind of interesting. Rick didn't seem to like that. He left. We all know that this will come into play when Negan is held there in the comic book series after the All Out War storyline. And it's kind of an interesting look on Morgan's perspective, considering earlier this season he was held in a cell by Eastman, and now he's building a cell of his own just like Eastman. So there's some more things Morgan took from Eastman. Then we see Spencer and Rosita have a relationship, or not really a relationship. They had a booty call, one-night stand kind of thing that Spencer seems to want to turn into more, and Rosita seems to be kind of against that idea. She's kind of on the rebound after Abraham. So from there, we see Daryl and Carol. Carol's catching up with Daryl. This was the promotional next time on video where she says, "Oh, didn't notice you got your motorcycle back." And then he's like, "Yeah, I should have killed the people who took it in the first place." And then she gets upset and leaves. Well, not really she gets upset, she just leaves. From there, Abraham and Eugene go out on a mission that at the time we do not know what it is. This is the same exact mission that they go on in the comic book series that winds up leading to Abraham's death, which is why I was keeping such a close eye on him. They go in to this refinery, and then we see Daryl, Denise, and Rosita all go out on a mission. So this is happening at the same time that Abraham and Eugene are out. So they're going out because Denise found an apothecary and she knows it would be filled with medicine, so they're going out to get the drugs. That way, people in Alexandria can have meds. Along the way, there's a tree that stops them in the road, and then we cut to Abraham and Eugene, and this metalhead walker comes and attacks them. Eugene calls dibs and attempts to kill it, but does a very bad job, seeing as though he drops his machete after hitting it on the metal head once, and nothing happens. So he tries to grab a pole, doesn't get it in time, and Abraham has to come to the rescue. This leads to a minor confrontation between Abraham and Eugene, where Eugene says to Abraham, "I don't need you anymore. Your services are no longer required," and Abraham gets upset by that and then leaves. At the same time, we actually find out that Eugene has been planning ahead. This is a refinery for what Eugene hopes can be turned into a bullet manufacturing power plant kind of thing, where he wants to take the casings of old bullets that have been fired and then turn them into new bullets and just repeat. So from there, we see back at the apothecary with Denise and the group that that Daryl and Denise went down the street, which took them twice as long to get there, whereas Rosita took a train track to get there, and she got there in half the time. I feel this is because Daryl does not want to take any risks, and because he has had a traumatic experience with train tracks before, with Terminus and all, so I think it's a little bit of Terminus PTSD coming back. At the apothecary, there are noises heard, and Denise goes to investigate and finds this walker. She's all decayed and sitting next to a sink filled with the remnants of a dead baby, and the words "hush, hush, 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 hush" are scratched into the wall. At first, I thought this was the Saviors had come in, scratched that into the wall, and killed her, and then just murdered the baby. But then I realized that it was a little bit more twisted. What happened was because the baby was making too much noise, so the mother killed it, and then, driven insane by that decision, she scratched Hush into the wall a bunch of times and then just laid down and died. Or at least that's the conclusion I came to. She also is one of the first walkers we've ever seen with a cast on, which is another thing that is of note. So Denise is all traumatized by that, and she goes outside the building and sits down and mopes by herself. Daryl and Rosita come out, and instead of being all supportive and being like, it'll be okay, they come out and they basically go, "We told you shouldn't come. No one wanted you out here. You decided to volunteer, so this is on you." From there, Denise and the group walk the train track because Daryl is now willing to take risks, just because they got all the meds and he's having a good day. Denise sees this walker in a car with a cooler in the car, so she goes, kills the walker, gets the cooler, loses her glasses in the process. She winds up throwing up on them, but she does get her orange crush that she had been looking for, so at least it's a win situation there. We do not see Tara this episode. In fact, we have not seen Tara yet this season, ever since she left, so I'm wondering if they will ever deliver it to her. So from there, Denise starts walking the track, and Rosita and Daryl come and yell at her, and Denise isn't really having it. She's a psychologist, so she knows kind of the mental state they're in, and she gives them kind of a rundown speech of, she said she brought Rosita because Rosita is alone for the first time in her life. She brought Daryl because Daryl makes her feel safe, and we actually find out that Daryl and Denise have a similar brother, which is a crazy guy who was very angry and very stupid. I think that's the descriptions they give for him. So they have a similarity there, which this scene leads to one of the most shocking moments of the episode.
Because you're strong and you're smart and you're both really good people, and if you don't wake up and face your...
And so from here, we find out that this was the scene that I had been paying so close attention to Abraham because of. Plays out right on screen. Dwight shoots Denise in the eye, and it is pretty much identical. Even when she's shot, she still speaks a little bit because the neural passageways or whatever, they had already been fired off, so they just went to their destination before the brain actually shut down, just like in the comic book series. So then Daryl and Rosita raise their guns. They see Dwight. His face is now all burnt up. Now he looks just like his comic book counterpart. Dwight is actually a character. Well, this is his comic book counterpart. Dwight is actually a character who plays an important role in the All Out War storyline. And in fact, he is still in the series today as he's the leader of Rick's military now. So he becomes a good guy eventually, spoiler alert. Don't know if they're going to go down that path with him in the show. Doesn't seem like it. Seems like either him or Daryl's going to die. We'll get into that in my next breakdown, which I will be doing. From here, we know that Dwight was a character we saw earlier in the series, but this time he has a burnt-up face now. This is, of course, because Negan likes to punish his people by burning their faces with irons when they disobey his rules. It's kind of his sick, twisted code. That's his way of putting you in jail, basically. So anyways, this hostage situation happens where all these saviors jump out with Dwight and basically hold up Daryl and Rosita. Eugene is there too, and he's been kidnapped by the saviors. From there, Eugene kind of looks over and sees Abraham by some barrels and rats him out, tells the saviors where he is. So as Dwight turns to look to see if that's true, Eugene kind of makes a move, and it was at this moment that I knew a comic book scene was going to play out, because right here, Eugene got that look in his eyes and then goes and chomps down on Dwight's groin. So he bites it for a while before Dwight rips him off. This is, of course, the comic book moment that I'm talking about when the same situation happens. So Dwight, being occupied, gives Abraham, Rosita, and Daryl an opportunity to basically jump the saviors. A gunfight happens, and multiple saviors are killed. Dwight then kind of makes a move. He gets away. He fires off a couple bullets. Some walkers are involved. And it turns out one of the bullets he fired hit Eugene. Now, Eugene has been shot in the side. There is no doctor at Alexandria. They don't know what they're going to do, so they just pick him up and carry him back. This is coming close to the end of the episode when we see Carol sitting there. Or actually, we don't see Carol at this point, but Carol plays a role at this. So Eugene is given the meds and is actually okay. He is sent on his way. Carol, however, is gone also. She has also been sent on her way in her own right, because she leaves a note to Tobin basically saying, I'm breaking up with you, and not only that, but I'm done killing people, so I'm running away from Alexandria. In the note it says, I killed 2 of our own a while ago. Rick sent me away. Things happened, and I didn't actually leave. Now I gotta honor that sentence. Pretty much that's what she says. She says, I cannot love anyone because I cannot kill for anyone. And then she takes off, which leads us into next episode. So we got to find out where Carol is then. Overall, this is a good episode. Some pretty good shocking moments. I kind of knew it was all going to happen as it started to play out. As Denise started to give her speech, I knew what was coming. But overall, this was a good episode. I would give it a 7 out of 10. It is on the better side of the worst half of the second half of the season, and that is not a bad thing at all. The worst half of this season is pretty much the next world, then this episode, because this second half season has been insanely epic. It's been the best half season of The Walking Dead so far. So anyways, giving a quick breakdown review of the episode. Way late, no one's going to watch this video, but gonna do it anyways. Thank you all for watching. D-Man out.